Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday live stream. I love hanging out with you guys. Today, we're talking about how to be a more confident business owner. And I know that this is something that I've needed a lot in my business. I've needed the ability to really muster up confidence when it came to going to that first networking meeting or, reaching out to that first potential client or even onboarding my very first client, right? And all of the feels that happen, all of the doubts that go through your mind whenever you are just facing these different business milestones. So, we're going to dig into that today. I'm going to share a little bit of the things that helped me get through the moments where it was just difficult, where it was hard to keep going, and so we're just going to dive into that. So we're going to be really real today. Everybody ready for that? You want to have like some real talk today? I am definitely feeling that. So let's do it. Let's dive right in. Today is a little bit of like a off day, even for me, which I don't know if you guys have had those days before. My son was sick last night. And so we're doing the whole like, is he sick enough to go to school? Is he sick enough to stay home deal this morning? And so he is home for the day. So hopefully I don't get any unexpected surprises. Set him up with a show during this, but who knows? That's mom life, right? So what we're going to be talking about today is how to boost your confidence as a business owner. So I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Like, what has been the scariest part of your business so far? What is the thing that you've needed confidence in the most? Go ahead and let me know in the comments because number one of the things that I feel like can really help us as we are growing our business is realizing that we're not alone, right? And so sometimes that is part like one of the hardest parts of building a business is feeling like I'm doing this all by myself and nobody else knows what I'm going through, which is totally not true, right? Because you have so many people here walking this journey with you, helping you to figure out, giving you steps. We have the virtual savvy, obviously, that's helping give you that step by step roadmap. But then you have this community of people who are going through this journey with you. So go ahead and let me know what has been the scariest part. And if you're not already a part of our community, the virtualsavvy.com/community, guys, we're about to hit 90,000 members in that group, which is so amazing. I still think it is the most supportive community on the internet. So proud of all the work that you guys do in there. Um, Heather says, putting myself out there on Facebook is one of the most difficult. Yep. I need to know how to find clients, meeting a quota of how many hours to work, what to find in order to get by. Yeah. So just the financial aspects, right? Like, okay, I need the clients that are going to make me the money, and I need to know that this is going to make enough money. Imposter syndrome, thinking my clients are going to quit at any point working with me, even though they all tell me how much they love and appreciate me constantly. Yeah. So sometimes, even if we're getting the affirmation that we need, it's still not enough. We're like, cool, 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 cool. But what if, right? So that's really what we're going to talk about today. So, one of the things I'll give two quick notes when it comes to boosting confidence, and then we'll go into some of the top objections that I see. In fact, I have five top objections that I see when it comes to like doing something scary in our business and when we need that boost of confidence. So, most of the time, what I have found is that a lack of confidence is based in some kind of fear, right? And we've done so many talks. If you go over to the YouTube channel, virtualsavvy.com/YouTube, we have had so many discussions talking about fears and how to face your fears. So if you need like follow up after this, like if you want to watch whole entire, 30-minute long sessions on just facing fear in your business, they are there. Go and check them out. But really, I do think that a lack of confidence a lot of times just comes from that fear of what if. And sometimes we don't even know, right? Like sometimes we feel the fear before we like hear it in our heads. Some of us hear it in our heads first. Some of us feel it first. I don't know which kind of person you are. I usually feel it first. I'm like, I'm scared and I don't know why. And then I have to go like journal it out. So that's actually one of the very first things that I would recommend is if you're having this like looming feeling of fear, but you don't actually know what it is, take some time because it's not just going to go away, right? Especially if it's one of those things that's in the back of your mind and you don't even fully know what it is. It is so, so important to actually sit down and figure out what the fear is that's holding you back, that's keeping you from being confident, keeping you from showing up fully in your business. So, because the only way you can face your fear is to actually name it, right? Like know what it is before you can actually take steps to overcome it. So, we've talked about this before in the past where your fear's kind of back here and it's looming. You have to like grab it, we have to recognize it, pull it right in front of your face and really tell it truth to what it is. So that's one of the first things is that kind of facing your fear, which part of it is just identifying it. You identify what the fear is so that you can face it. So if you don't have a handy dandy journal, like I'm going to always encourage you guys to be journaling because, the entrepreneurial experience is an emotional roller coaster and so many people don't get it. So it's important to show up to these live streams. It's important to be in community. It's important to share your fears with other, but I also feel like it's important to actually have that self-reflection time, which is a huge reason why I journal and why I encourage you to do it as well. While you're journaling, go ahead and if you haven't already, really think about your why because guys, this is what's going to be that fuel to give you the confidence, no matter which one of these situations. So, I'm going to walk you through 5 different situations that you may be facing that you need confidence in your business in. But if you don't know your why, and if it is not deep rooted in you, it is not your driving force of like, this is why I do what I do, then like none of these things are actually you're not going to have the fuel to go very far, right? Like your confidence will fail you at some point. And so what's going to keep motivating you? And it's going to be that why, right? If you have your why, drop it in the comments because it's always like super encouraging for me to read those, um for me to like for other people I think to see those whys because it's like, oh my gosh, that's so me, like I have so many different whys, but I feel like my current one, it's changed a little bit. I don't know if some of you guys who have been in entrepreneurship for a while have faced this too, but like for me, my why now is maybe a little different than my why in the beginning because my why when I first started was kind of to be at home with my kids, right? Like I my kids, I was pregnant and I had a almost 2-year old. And I was like, I just like, I don't want to go back to work. I want to be with my kids. And then after a while, I was like, okay, I really love entrepreneurship. And sometimes I need a break from my kids. So I had enough money to pay for like part-time childcare. And then now they're in school, right? So like my why isn't to be at home full time with my kids. And I think that that's okay. I think it's okay that our why shifts a little bit. Um, and now, like, I literally do this because I love it. Like, I could not do anything but entrepreneurship. The more I get to know about myself and my strengths, I'm like, whoa, I am so, so meant to be an entrepreneur, right? So at the beginning, it became a means to an end. And I think that that's great, but now it's more of a like, I literally couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. So I do think that your why shifts over time, but either way, it's important to identify it. So let me see if some of you guys dropped your why. Yep, freedom to work from anywhere, leave my full-time job. Yay, Patricia. I love it. Work-life balance, being able to make an income while running around with my kids and their sports activities, to be able to sustain myself and my kids financially after being a stay-at-home mom all my life. Oh my gosh, I love these. So I can afford bills, show my daughter I can make money from home, be my own boss and call the shots. I love it. So good. Okay, so keep dropping those because I absolutely love them. So let's go through some scenarios. So these are, after training thousands of people to start their own business, we've walked people through the business setup phase, through choosing their services, through marketing, through scaling, right? We have walked this journey with so many, literally thousands upon thousands of students who have gone through our programs. So, what are like the big roadblocks where you're like, oh, I need confidence here. So here are the top 5. Number 1, it comes down this is like one of the very first ones that I see people having is really getting this feeling that you're not skilled enough. Like I need confidence in the skills that I have. By the way, this is going to be super practical. I hope that you guys all like that. Like I'm all about offering the most practical advice to overcoming fear because I'm just a really practical person. So I hope that you guys like these practical tips because here's the thing, if you are feeling like you're not skilled enough to do what you're doing, one of the things that I really suggest is taking a look at your services. And is there a service that you're offering that maybe you're not ready to offer, right? Like you don't need to call yourself a social media manager if you're not a social media manager. That's okay. You can learn to be a social media manager, right? And there's so many different ways you can do that. There are courses, there's the Savvy Vault. If you guys aren't Savvy Vault members, we have all the different tech trainings and industry trainings. You can learn to become a Pinterest manager. You can learn how to, do well on YouTube or how to write emails, whatever. You can learn the skill, right? And I think that that is part of it too, is that when we say, I'm not skilled enough, guys, none of us came into this field knowing it all. Like we really don't, especially, I mean, tech changes all the time. So the question isn't, am I skilled enough? It's, am I smart enough to go out and learn what I need to learn? And if you can have confidence in that, like I am not confident that I know all the tech or that I'm ready to be all the things that I'm feeling like I need to step up to the plate and be, right? Am I ready to be CEO? Oh, no, I don't know about that, right? But can I research? Can I read books? Can I study? Can I learn new tech? Am I good at learning? Yes, actually, I am. So I can be confident in that, right? And so I think it starts with starting with the services that you know. And if what you know, you look, on our website, we have this 101 list of services you can offer as a VA. If you look at that list of 101 services and you're like, all I can do on that entire list is customer service emails. Like, that's the only thing I actually feel really good at. Great. Be the best dang customer service VA that you can be, right? Because there's people who need that skill and it's fulfilling something that is going to take time off of their plate, put it onto yours, and it's going to help them grow. And people will pay you for that service. So, if you're like, oh, this is all that I can do, then be freaking awesome at it, right? And be the best that you can be at that thing. And then you can expand your skills as you go too. Again, you can be a learner. You can be somebody who educates yourself and becomes better at what you do or expands your services over time. But don't be afraid. Don't feel like I have to wait to get started until I know all the skills because it's just never going to happen. You're always going to feel behind because this is tech, guys. Like this is the internet, like this is software. You're never going to know it all. So it comes down to, let me just choose a few things that I can be really, really good at, offer those services first, and then I can expand the territory a little bit. Okay. Yes. Can we be confident in our skills? Say yes in the comments below. All right. So the number 2 thing that I see facing is when it comes to starting to get out there and marketing, right? And really, I'm afraid to put myself out there because what if a client says no? Like, what if I do this amazing proposal or I go to a networking meeting and I follow up and I pitch this person my services and they say no? Okay, so I'm I told you I'm gonna be really blunt at me today. This is going to happen. So sometimes you gotta just know it's coming and know it's gonna suck, but know that it's really gonna be okay in the end, right? It's like taking like that terrible medicine that you took as a kid where you're like, I don't want to take it. I know I don't want to take it. And your mom forced you to take it. And then you took it. And then afterwards you're like, dang it, I feel better. Like I almost didn't want to have to go through this to feel better, but I know that it has to happen in order for me to get better. Right. And that's the reality of clients rejecting you. It's one of those things that it gets easier with time, right? Like I don't know if you've ever, it's kind of similar to the medicine, but like on a maybe a more adult level. Like if any of you guys ever tried drinking like those green smoothies and they like taste so terrible in the beginning, and over time, like people will literally begin to like them, which I'm not there. But like it becomes more tolerable over time. And you're doing it for a specific purpose and it's getting better over time. And I think that that is a lot of times our marketing, like the way that you're going to get better is through people saying no. And even if you did 100% perfect, even if you nailed your pitch, even if you were like, oh my gosh, I said all the right things. I did all the right things. I feel confident in my pricing and my packages. Like I was 110% and I was amazing, right? Which I hope you can get to the point where you feel that way. Even if you did that, guys, it will not be a 10 out of 10 people saying yes. And because the reason is because you're here and your skills and your services and your offerings and your pricing may be here, but somebody may be coming from here. And so it doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It just means that they're not ready for you. Okay. So this fear of like, what if somebody says no? It does not. Somebody saying no does not have to be a reflection of your worth. It doesn't have to be a reflection of your skills or if you have what it takes. No, sometimes it's literally just not a good fit, right? Sometimes it's like the whole like dating thing, like it's not wait, it's not you, it's me. Well, in this case, it's not me, it's you. Sometimes, right? That's the reality. Sometimes it is the other person and they're just not ready for you. And so, you know, sometimes I like we've even seen people inside of our program, our virtual assistant, our Savvy System program, our VA training for VAs to start their business. We've seen people celebrate, we have like the hashtag celebrate in our Facebook group, hashtag celebrate their first no. And I love when I see that because it's like, it's a celebration. It's a milestone that, hey, I got through it, right? Like I faced it. Somebody said no. Someone rejected me. And look, I'm on the other side and I'm still alive. And sometimes we need that, right? So it will happen. It will become a numbers game over time. Now, and this is why I'm a really big fan of you guys keeping track. So let's say your the main way that you're trying to get jobs is through local networking meetings. So, okay, if I go to 3 networking meetings, I can get 10 business cards. If I email those 10 people, then 5 of them are going to respond back to do a discovery call. If I do 5 discovery calls, then 2 of them are going to say yes, right? So out of your 10 people, you have like a 2% or not even a 2%. If like out of these, yes, 2%. See, I'm really good at math right now. If wait, no. Okay. Did we just embarrass myself on screen? I told you I'm really out of it. My son was up all night. Okay. So if you can say 2 out of every 10 are going to say yes, then it just becomes a numbers game, right? Then it's just like, well, I just need to go to enough networking events to get 10 business cards and to try to get 5 discovery calls out of that and to land 2 of those clients, right? And it won't always be perfect, but then if you know your numbers, if you're keeping track of this, then you can see like, "Ooh, where could I improve this? Maybe I'm not getting 5 people. So maybe I could improve that email to try to get 5 discovery calls, or maybe I can follow up more often. Or maybe, I'm doing 5 discovery calls but 0 people are saying yes. Well, then I probably need to improve my discovery calls, right? And so all of this, it becomes a learning process. It becomes a way that we can become better at what we do. I need to go to the comments and make sure you guys aren't 20%. People are like, Abby, 2 out of 100 is 2%. 2 out of 10 is 20%. I know, guys. I'm just really tired today. You guys are sweet. Thank you. No means next opportunity. Yes, someone on my team wrote that. I love that. So good. It means you're only getting closer to the right clients. Yep, I feel like it's their loss for not hiring me to do whatever the job is. I love it. So good. Oh my gosh, you guys. Thank you. You're here for me. I love it. All right. So, what if a client says no, knowing it will happen, right? Knowing that it's a numbers game, and that you just keep going, you improve with time. And I feel like this is really similar to fear number 3 is kind of like I've landed that client, but some of us don't show up confidently for our clients because we're living in constant fear that they're going to fire you, that they're going to say this isn't working out, right? And let me tell you, that is no way to live. Like, if you are currently working with a client and every day you're like, "Oh, I'm not doing good enough. I'm not doing good." Like that is not the freedom lifestyle that you started this business for. That is not like the purpose of you doing this business. So cut it out, right? And it's that same thing of this like, okay, you know, will at some point somebody let you go? You can call it fire me, whatever. It's you're not an employee, so they're not really firing you, but like at some point somebody will probably end your contract. And it's a reality, right? And maybe it is from something that you do. Maybe it's something that they do. Maybe it's just not a good fit anymore, right? At a certain point, this probably will happen. And so, what do you do to prepare for that, right? Number one, we can't live in fear of it happening all the time. If you are living in fear of it happening, then again, go back to that journal. What is it that you're actually fearing? And some of us, it might just be really practically like, Abby, I need this money, right? Like, if I lost a client right now, I would be in a really bad financial place. Okay, well, what do? You deal with overwhelm. That's overwhelming, right? That fear, it's not allowing you to show up confidently. It's overwhelming. You deal with overwhelm with a plan. So what's the plan that you're not going to be fearful about the money aspect of your business all the time? So I'm a huge fan of creating an emergency fund. Okay, so that means some of you guys are in a place where you're getting clients and you need that money. Like you're like, yes, I need this money now to literally pay my bills, right? But as soon as you can, my recommendation is to start stockpiling away enough money that you could pay your bills and run your business for 4 to 6 months. And that can be a goal for you to work toward, right? And there's a lot of ways that you can get toward that goal, right? So you can do it by chucking away as much of your money up front. Some of you guys are working a full time job while you're doing your VA business. That's extra money above your salary. Take that extra money, pretend like it doesn't exist, and start stockpiling it away so that you can quit your job with confidence, right? That's what we're talking about here, confidence, so that you have that stockpile in case things don't take off the way that you had hoped, right? You have that emergency fund. Um, in the same way, I would say, you can also reduce your personal bills. So if it takes you 5,000 a month right now to live off of, could you figure out how to live off of 4,000 a month, right? So your emergency fund wouldn't have to be quite as big. So it does delve into personal finance a little bit. It dives into how you're going to allocate your money as a business owner. So all of that comes into effect. And I think that if you have that emergency fund, how many of you guys have like a fully stocked, or at least you're working toward a fully stocked emergency fund? Let me know in the comments. It provides a lot of confidence, right? We made business projections at the Virtual Savvy this year, and they're hitting a little below what we had like anticipated. But at the end of the day, we're like, but we're okay. Like, like it's fine. And so we're talking, we're like, okay, how do we pivot this? What do we change here? But it's not stressful because we have an emergency fund. We've got, 4 to 6 months expenses of what it takes to pay everybody, to pay me, to run the business, and we're fine, right? And that's for most of us too. That's why diversity of clients is really nice. We've talked in the past about the difference between an employer and being a freelancer is that if you lose your job as an employee, I mean, you've lost your entire source of income, right? And sure, there can be like some unemployment, but a lot of times that doesn't cover a whole lot. Whereas a freelancer, most freelancers have between 4 and 7 clients if you're working full time. And I mean, it kind of depends on what kind of services you're offering. But if you lose one, right, you don't lose your entire source of income. So it's one of the awesome benefits of being a freelancer. So, let me know if this is helpful. I'm going to jump back to the client. Some of you guys are working toward that emergency fund. ER fully loaded. Woo! Yeah, Melissa, good job. I call it my Justin money, just in case. I love it, Sarah. That's amazing. I'm like a NSYNC girl, so you can't say Justin without me going there. Okay. If it's all your clients go, bye, bye, bye. That'd be sad. All right, let's keep going. Here's another, we're talking about confidence, how to get more confidence in your business. And this is one that I see people tripping up on a lot. This is number 4 of 5. I'm stressing about everything just being perfect, right? Like I have the fear of just not showing up in a polished way, and it is seriously holding me back. Some of you guys, I would suspect that most of you listening today that have not officially launched your business, right? That you've been working on your business for some time, but you don't have a client yet. The majority of you, this is probably what you're dealing with because I know this because I've been there and I've walked through other people in the same situation as well, right? Where we get this in our head where it's like, oh, but I don't want to launch without a website, or like, oh, I don't really like my logo, or I'm not confident in my services, or what if I don't have this all together and I need to make everything perfect before I get out there. It's why one of our core values of the Virtual Savvy, right? Mhm, mhm. Can't really see it. Be bold. We value action over perfection. And we do, right? And it's the reason why that's one of our core values is because I so believe that it is one of the foundations to success. So if you can get to the point where you're like, I know this isn't 100% perfect, but it's 90%, right? I'm not telling you to put out crap. I'm not telling you to like, launch at 20%, right? To be like, here's this piece of poop I made last night and let's see if it works, right? Like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if this is at 90% and you're like, oh, I know it could be better, but I'm ready to get it out there, then get it out there, right? And so for some of us, we have to give a deadline. We have to have some accountability in our life. We have to say, hey, I've been freaking just like stressing about this logo and I'm just going to pick a day like this Friday by noon, whatever my decision, I'm making my decision. And you tell someone, you hold them accountable. You can say, like, I'm going to pick a logo and then we're going to go out to lunch to celebrate. Or you can do a negative consequence, right? My friend Brian Harris does this. He'll like pick a negative consequence for his action. So he'll say, hey, if by noon you call me and I haven't chosen my logo and I don't go with that, then I have to pay you $100. Right. And I'm like, oh man, that's good. Right. And so maybe that you have like a positive thing and maybe that you have a negative thing that happens, whatever is going to work the best for your psyche, make it work. But, have some accountability built in where it's like, okay, this thing that I've been stressing about being perfect, I've got to just launch it. And you, like the people that need to hear this, that I'm talking to you, right? Like some of us, you don't have this problem and you've embraced the action over perfection. It's, this isn't as much of a struggle for me because I'm a quick start. If you guys have gone through all those different tests, like there's different types of personalities, right? And I'm naturally a quick start. So I'm naturally like, yeah, oops. Yeah, it's good enough, right? Like we're creating a podcast right now, and I'm pretty sure my camera's crooked, and I just hit my mic, and I'm not used to it. And you know what, though, action over perfection, and it's fine. And some of us aren't that way, and that's okay. So that's where we have to build in the accountability and the structure, like to help make it okay. If you're naturally a structure person, right? Because usually quick starts aren't as much structure people. So then use structure to your benefit. Structure a way for you to take action. So it might be those negative or positive consequences, right? All right, cool. Let's jump into number 5. Um, let's see. Oh, I've watched almost all the videos. So nervous, progress, not perfection. I'm there, recovering perfectionist. Done is better than perfect. Moving forward for me. So, so good. Um, yes. All right, let's go. And then lastly, what if I fail? Right? Like I think that this kind of just goes over all of them, but I think this is just another one of those looming feelings, right? Like this just feeling of like, what if I fail? So sometimes I'm a realist, I'm really practical. Sometimes I have to actually walk through that scenario and be okay with the outcome because nothing is guaranteed in life, right? And I think that there are ways that you can increase your success, right? And so it's why we have our checklist, the virtualsavvy.com/checklist, right? Like following a proven blueprint is one of the ways you can increase your chances of success. And I do believe that with that right instruction, that most people can do this. I truly believe it. We've seen so many people change their lives as a result of beginning freelancing, beginning virtual assistants. But sometimes you have to walk yourself through that situation just to like be okay with the other side. Like, what if I launch this business and it doesn't work? Like, what if it fails? Number one, if it fails, does not make you a failure, right? That's number one. Number two, you're going to be better on the other end of it. I know, like, for me, there's been things in my life that it's like, okay, what if I fail? What if I fail? Well, you won't know unless you try, right? Like, my husband a few years ago walked through one of the darkest seasons that we've ever been through. We were living in Northern Virginia and he got his dream job. I mean, literally, it was just like, oh my gosh, and he did not feel qualified for it. And we picked up and moved our family across the country, and he got this absolute dream job, and 90 days in, they just fired him unexpectedly. Like, we had no idea it was coming. I think it was incredibly unwarranted, but we won't go into all of that. But the thing is, like, he was scared of a thing, he did it anyways, and his worst fear became a reality. And sometimes that does happen. And I don't think that that will happen, but for me, I have to walk myself through that scenario. And the thing is, like, in this situation, the worst thing happened, and you know what? Like, he is such a better person because of it. Like, we walked through a really dark season of him, like, learning his self-worth and all of these things, but, like, that was the season that he realized that his self-worth wasn't defined by a job title or what he did, and, like, who he is didn't change, and, like, all these amazing things, and the man I'm married to now is, like, such, like, I mean, I've always loved him, but I'm like, "Wow, like, you've grown so much as a person in the past," and I'm, like, so in love with the man he is now it's because he went through this really dark season and made it on the other end. So, I think for some of us, I say that only to say, not for me to be like, "You think your business might fail? Well, maybe it will." But, like, I'm just such a realist that sometimes I have to be like, "Okay, if I go after this, let's say I quit my job and this happens, like, at the end of the day, I'm still gonna be okay, right? Like, I'm still gonna be okay. Like, I have this job I could fall back on. I could do this. I could do this. There are options, and there's a way we can set ourselves up for success. We can follow a blueprint. We can have the emergency, all the things. But at the end of the day, like, you have to know that you are okay and you're going to be okay. And sometimes walking through that worst case scenario helps me. So I don't know if that's helpful. That maybe shouldn't have been the one that I ended on because I really, like, even in the things that I've tried that I failed, I'm still so grateful for those experiences because it made me who I am today. And I truly believe that we have, like, a path and a purpose for each one of us. And so it's like, at the end of the day, it's gonna be okay. And you truly are less likely to fail if you have a plan. And I'll be the first one to admit, like, you look at the business I have now, you look at, like, oh, Abby has this huge team and this and that. Like, it did not start that way. It started as me sitting in a basement apartment, having no idea what the heck I was doing, Googling what is a virtual assistant, right? Like, I was right where you are. And here's the thing, I followed the advice of people who had gone before me, right? And that doesn't mean that you have to follow all the people's advice. So I would choose a few mentors, right? Like, if you're here, binge watch our YouTube channel, like, take advantage of all the free content. Go and experience, surround yourself with people who have been there before you, and you are so much more likely to succeed if you have a proven plan, right? So that's why we have our checklist, virtualsavvy.com/checklists. It's that step-by-step plan to help you get started in your business, okay? So, do we have any questions? Because I know this was, like, a little bit of a heavier topic. I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to answer your questions. Go ahead and drop them in the comments if you do. Is this something that you've struggled with? What's one thing that you're going to take away? If this is something that you struggled with in the past, what's something that you're going to take away from today's talk? I absolutely love chatting with you guys, and I'm excited to answer your questions. Um, if that wouldn't happen had you had started your business. So I actually had started my business already when my husband got fired. So I started my virtual assistant business in 2015, like early 2015, and I launched my online course in, like, December of 2016. So I had been a VA for about 2 years before I launched that course, had grown a whole agency, replaced my income, all of those things. And my husband was working a decent paying government job, in Northern Virginia and but hated it. Like he hated his job. And we had been volunteer youth pastors at our church and he really wanted to go into like full-time ministry. And so it was kind of my business had taken off, gave him the freedom to be like, "Oh, like I can actually go and do this other thing." Cuz at that time, if you my husband was making six figures and it was like hardly or I don't think he was quite at six figures, but it was like without my income, it would have been really hard for us to survive because Northern Virginia is crazy. Like it's so expensive. We were living in a basement apartment with like one window in this super crazy expensive area of Northern Virginia, like outside Washington, D.C. Anyways, so it was kind of my business taking off that enabled him to make that big jump to pursue what he wanted that wasn't quite as good of a paying job, right? And then when he got fired, the same thing. That was it was actually such a gift that we had my business because I was able to say, "Hey, like you don't have to go back to work right away." In fact, they asked us. I was in on the meeting too. It was like this really weird experience. I just happened to be at the offices that day when he got fired, so they brought both of us in and told us, and then they were like, "So what are you gonna do?" And like, it's a weird question. But I looked at my husband, I was like, "We're going to the Bahamas." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because I told them and I told him, I was like, "The most important thing right now is that our marriage stays strong during this time. And so I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know where we're gonna live. I don't know what we're gonna do, but like we had, the money from my business. So we were like, you don't have to go to work right away. Let's go to the Bahamas and figure it out." So we literally, because we're living in Oklahoma, trying to figure out what our next step is, right? And so we wrote all these cards and we put them out on a table. And the whole week we talked and we prayed and we journaled and we all the things. We laid by the beach and we just like all the things. It was like we could travel in an RV for a year. We could we could just do my business. He could start like a drone business. We could live in Springfield. We could go back to DC. We could live anywhere we want, right? Because my business was remote. And so throughout the week, we slowly started taking cards off the table, like, no, that's not what we're supposed to do. No, that's not what we're supposed to do. And at the end, we landed on coming to Springfield, Missouri, which is my hometown. And so we moved here and just thought it was temporary and then like absolutely loved it. So we've been here ever since. So a little peek into our journey. Thank you for asking. Yes. Last minute trips equal cheap travel. So true. Oh, Stephanie lives in Northern Virginia. Yep, it's crazy. It's so expensive there. Yep, absolutely. All right, what questions do you guys have? What kind of questions would you ask a client on a discovery call? Such a good question, Kiki. So, there's a whole discovery call process. In fact, I think did we do a live stream on that? You'll have to go and look on our YouTube channel. I think we did one on discovery calls. Anyways, so the most important thing is that you lead the meeting, okay? Because again, it comes down to confidence. Like if you show up confidently for your discovery calls, it's going to mean so much more than what you actually say. So I would start the conversation with, "Hi, thank you so much for showing up." This is not like they're not leading the call. This is you. They've booked a call with you, so you lead the thing. "Hi, thanks so much for coming to the call today. Here's what we're going to go over." So give them an agenda, right? Say first, I would love to ask some questions about your business and kind of what your needs are. So then you pre-plan some questions, and I would do your research ahead of time, right? Like don't show up to the meeting blind. Do some research and really dig in to make sure that it's a good fit, that what they need is really going to be a good fit for what you have to offer. So you get to ask them first. Oh, told you he'd come in. "Hey, buddy, you feel sick?" "Okay, I'll be in there in a second, okay? Miss Audrey can help you."
"Mommy, when can you be in there?"
"I'm almost done, okay?" Say hi, everybody. Give me 2 minutes, okay? Miss Audrey can set a timer on my phone.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Can you?
Oh, yeah.
Circle timer.
Yeah.
And when it's done, will you be in here?
Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm setting a timer. We're really big on timers. Okay, I'm going to do 5 minutes. Is that okay?
No.
2? All right, guys, I have 2 minutes. Here it goes. Go. So it's important that you lead the call, right? So you are the one saying, "Here's how this is going to go," and then you're going to go into here's what I have to offer, and here's why I think it would be a good fit, and then here's how I work too. Like here's the practicality of here's what it's like to work with me. So you do need to know that figured out. You need to know how you're going to invoice and how you're going to track time if you're going to track time and all that. And then you present your packages and then you say, hey, would this be a good fit? It's always good to add some kind of like, I'd love to get you signed up on this call right here today. Right. So, oh, you guys, my sad little boy is okay. So that's what I would suggest there. I apparently only have 2 minutes to talk to you guys now because my son set a timer. So, if you have more questions, go ahead, drop them in our community. Again, this most supportive community ever, thevirtualsavvy.com/community. I know that they'll be able to answer your questions thoroughly. And I'm going to go make sure that my baby boy is okay because, oh, so sad. All right. Have a good rest of the day, everyone. Bye.